So today on the J&B Body Talks podcast, we have a friend of the family, a friend of the shop, a local legend. This guy's an absolute animal. He grew up with the rep of the toughest kid around town, and now he is a professional MMA fighter. So without any further ado, we got Jimmy Drago.
Thank you. Local legend.
Local legend. You kind of are a local legend. I don't know if you know that, or I don't know if you feel that, but...
I definitely don't walk around like that, right? I don't walk around with the persona of a local legend. Just, right. If I do, someone kick me in the ass, please.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. After seeing your few fights, I'm definitely not going to do it.
Yeah, before I really met you, I mean, I knew of you because our dads grew up close to each other, like I think on the same street, and he would always come around the shop and say what up, so I'd heard of you. But I remember Michael talking about you or one of your brothers just being like, yo, those kids are tough as fuck.
When I was at Iona Prep, I don't even know how this came up, but a bunch of Yonkers kids went to Iona, and the story was I was in homeroom and somebody had said your name, and I had heard my dad talking about your last name, Drago, and they were like, oh, no, don't fuck with those guys. Those guys are savages. Like, those guys know how to fucking fight. And it was just years later that a good friend of ours, Brian McLaughlin, who comes around the shop, friends with your dad, friends with my dad, he came around. He was like, you got to see Jimmy fight. Like, he's a savage. So how did you get into all this?
So,
and just hold on, just a side note. From what I had heard about your dad had the same, your dad was a motherfucker. Like,
okay, so that's kind of like what I wanted to say. Like, when I think of local legend, I think of like Jimmy Drago Sr.
Yeah.
My father was the UFC before the UFC was even a thought in Dana White's head. Like,
yeah.
He was old school, in your fucking face, ready to throw down, but would give the shirt off his back to
That's
anybody.
what I've heard.
He was a man's man. Listen, he's gone 13, 14 years now.
Wow.
And still every day I try, and I don't even try to. He's always just been my hero, you know, and he was a decorated Mount Vernon fireman, hero down at 9/11, tough son of a bitch from Yonkers, had the perfect balance of love and fear, and he was what I like to consider the local legend. So, like, yeah, I don't know.
I heard he got hit. Brian told me the first time I met him, some guy cracked him in the side with a bat, and then he beat the piss out of this
We
guy.
grew up, man, and he was, I don't know, 49 years old, so that means I was like 14, and we were watching him fight in the parking lot. Like,
yeah,
he had that, you ever hear that, like that light switch turns on?
Yeah,
like, he had that light switch where if you crossed him and that light switch went on, he was gonna, you know, you just didn't do it to a guy like this. And then as soon as he would get back in the car, oh, you guys want some ice cream? Light switch off.
Did you learn to fight from him?
He was teaching me how to throw a spinning back fist when I was 13 years old.
Really?
Yep.
A lot of that stuff, and I know you have it too, though, is just like, it's just athleticism. It's just movement. It's just like, you know, meaning it when you do it. Like my dad told me a story, and we'll get, you know, I don't want to talk too much about this, but there was some guy who was coming around the shop and he was going nuts and he was running his mouth, and your dad was there. And we had these garages across from the shop that had these two big bays that open up like this. And your dad literally picked the guy up, threw him into the back of the fucking garage and locked the fucking garage and walked out like nothing happened.
And my father had this energy where that guy probably got out of that garage at some point and would thank my father for doing that to
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you for doing that to me. I really learned a lot.
A fucking animal. You'd probably do the craziest fucking shit. Just like turn around and say like, I'm a big pussy compared to my dad. Like,
listen, I always try and say if I could be half the man he was, I would be, you know, I would die pretty happy. He did a ton of service. He helped a lot of people, but he just had, you know, balls the size of the moon, bro. Like, you could not strike fear in this man's heart. And like, when I think about that, I'm like, I'm a pussy.
Yeah, you're just born with that.
You know?
So how did you get into, you know, tell us a little bit about your backstory and how you got into what you're doing now.
So, I don't know. We grew up on stories of how tough dad was. So like any kid, you want to be like your father. And like, I don't know, around like 13 years old, you start hearing the stories, and you know, everyone telling you, you know, your dad was this tough fucking guy, man. He didn't play no games. And my father had us in karate a little bit as a kid, you know. I don't really know how far Taekwondo at 4 or 5 years old will take you, but we stopped at like around 10 years old, and then he put me in Drago's boxing gym at like 12 years old.
That's on McLean?
It's on Yonkers Ave.
Okay.
And I would do like a month or two. Like, the commitment that goes into fight sports. I mean, today I really know what goes into it, but at 12 years old, you want to ride your bike. You want to more involved in team sports. Fighting is a lonely, isolated sport.
Right.
So I wanted to be involved in the football. I wanted to be involved in the baseball, the lacrosse, the basketball. Going down to the gym by myself, I just
smelly old guys.
Yeah, and he brought me in there at like 12 years old. I would stay there for a month or two. I got the shit kicked out of me.
Really?
Yep, I got the shit kicked out of me. Wow. Well, listen, the difference between someone who's 12 and 14 years old is a big gap.
Right.
So, I'm slow, I'm not coordinated as the 14-year-old kid, and they kicked the shit out of me. But I noticed after like a month or two of like being there, I was getting better.
Okay.
But like, then football season would come around and I'd start doing the team sports. So I got into the sport late. I got into fighting, actual fighting, around 20 and a half years old.
Okay.
And I kind of told Mike about it a little bit, like, how'd I get into this? I got into this sport, and I say this with 100% honesty, I got into the sport because I had absolutely no friends at like 19, 20 years old. I was just fucking up, man. I was just, I just had nothing going for me back then. Nobody really wanted to be around me. I was causing a lot of trouble. I was really embarrassment to myself. Dad died when I was 15, so over the next 4 or 5 years, I just went down a real bad path. So I remember like hanging out in the Bronx one day, and this kid said, "Hey, take a look at this. They got this underground fight club in the Bronx."
Okay.
So I was like, let me see. And they were having people fight, and they were giving out like Rolexes and chains and like cash prizes to these winners. And I was like, these fucking guys suck.
Where were the fights?
Hunts Point.
Okay. Like what? In like a warehouse or?
It's like a warehouse.
So just for people who don't know, you never really want to be hanging out in the Bronx, and you definitely don't want to be hanging out in Hunts Point.
Yeah.
There are some nice areas in the Bronx. Hunts Point, not one of them.
Yeah,
serves a purpose. Hunts Point definitely does, most things in life.
Hub,
But, so I reached out to them on Instagram, and this is like 2015, 2014, and they shot me the address. I said I wanted to compete, so I went down there, and I remember my girl.
By yourself?
I had a girlfriend at the time. She dropped me off, and I'll never forget. She had tears coming down her face, saying, "Please do not go inside." I wasn't all here, I was definitely a little fucked up, physically and mentally,
fighting through some rage.
Yeah. So I shut the door and I just walked in there and I said, "Hey, what's up? I'm here to fight." And they kind of laughed at me, and they said, "No, you're not." And I said, no, look at the message. You guys reached out to me. I said, "I'm here to compete." And they go, "Okay." So boom, the place started filling up. And
what you weigh?
You
don't even know.
All fucked up, probably 150 pounds.
Okay.
I walk around like 200 right now.
And were there like weight classes?
There was no weight classes.
Okay.
I have a picture of the stare down before the fight even started.
Really?
Yes.
I got to see that.
So I went in there. Obviously, I wasn't really in my right mind state. But the whole purpose of this was like, I had no friends. I needed money. So I was like, all right, let me go down. What do I got to lose?
Yeah.
So they have the stare down of like inside the ring before the bell rung. And you see this kid towering over me. I'll send you a picture. And this kid's towering over me. And what I noticed too was it's like celebrities were coming in there.
Really?
Yeah. So I fought one time in front of Jadakiss. I fought one time in front of, I think it was Uncle Murder or Mano.
Okay.
And then the last time I was down there, I fought in front of 50 Cent.
Wow.
And 50 Cent performed in there.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I saw one of these photos of you.
100%.
In like this ratchet environment. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I was built in the ratchets.
Okay, that's it.
It started in the ratchets. So long story short, they put this kid up against me. I didn't have much like boxing or like, I was just a scrappy kid growing up. We still got the video of it. I fucking put the kid down twice.
Wow.
And, I went about my day. And the kind of
Sorry, and this was boxing or this was
This
fighting?
was just boxing.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was before like Rumble in the Bronx, like these Street Beat, all these like other, you know, organizations. Like back in 2014, it was BX Fight Club, and they're not around no more. But you know, I went in there because I had nothing to lose. I needed money. I had absolutely nothing going for me, and I think BX Fight Club had like 24,000 followers at the time, something like that. So like, you know, 10 and 11 years ago, that was a lot.
Yeah.
So when they put the video up of me flooring this kid, people finally started like reaching out to me. It was like a fake love, like generic love. You know what I mean?
Support.
But
Yeah,
when you have absolutely none of that, it almost made me feel like, oh wow, where's this attention that I haven't gotten in years, because I was a complete fuck up at the time.
Okay.
So people started reaching out to me, and they were like, "Oh man, Jim, keep doing your thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm trying." Like, it was just all bullshit.
Yeah.
So people would ask me like, "Why? You know, you go down there, you get paid Underground Fight Club," and I would lie. I'd say, "Yeah, you know, they pay you to do this, and I'm making money," but it was a lie. I just needed some sort of justification to explain why I'm going down to Hunts Point and fighting by myself. You know what I mean? But it gained me like an attention at the time. But I was just like I didn't have any human connection.
Okay.
So like when that came to light, it made me feel like I wasn't such a fuck up no more.
Even if it was how you said, like even if it was like fake or surface
Even
level.
if it was fake.
Yeah.
I mean, people that I haven't spoke to in years coming out of the woodworks, and it was like, yeah, you know, I'm doing something here. Like, you know, people are like coming back into my life. And like for someone that's like in such need for human connections, I didn't have shit going for me. It was important to me at the time. But like that's the problem. Like all these outside things, they're not going to make you feel happy inside. So like if that was the answer, like human connection and friends and like all this fake love, then I wouldn't have stopped. Then I would have stopped fucking up, right? But like it was the exact opposite. Like I kept heading down that bad path.
Still.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly, because I couldn't get out of my own way. Like it was an inside job, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I needed to fix my inside. You know, the insecurity. You know, the lack of discipline. I was completely irresponsible, careless, insecure. You know, just because a few people come around and tell me I'm doing a good job doesn't mean that that's all going to go away. So long story short, over the next like 6 months, I'm putting in work in this place. High or not high, like I'm fucked up. I'm going down there.
Were you training for the fights, or you were just going in?
Absolutely not. I was getting fucked up.
Were you working out at all? Like, were you running? Were you?
No.
Okay.
No, I was wandering around Westchester Avenue with nowhere to go. You know. So I'm putting in like I'm hurting people down there. But like think about how sick that is. Like I have to hurt people
to feel something.
But like I have to hurt people so people can talk to me, so I can feel better about myself.
Yeah.
So when people ask me like, how'd you get into this? Like I had no friends. Like the first thing is, huh? But like that's really what it is. Like I had to hurt people so people could talk to me, so I could feel better about myself. But like you're gaining like a little bit of like familiarity here, because now like you feel a little bit important. Like you're fighting in front of Uncle Murder, you're fighting in front of Mano, you're fighting in front of 50 Cent. So I fought this guy, and I really hurt this guy down there. And like he had like a little seizure in the fucking ring.
Whoa.
He was fucked up. He trained for 6 months after that. I got fucked up for 6 months. And then we fought again 6 months later. And he's got his coach, he's got everything. And like, I'm like sitting in the back, like nodding off, like just ready to get this over with.
Wow.
And 50 Cent performs. We are the last fight. We go in, and me and this kid go to war. It was the first time I ever got dropped.
Really?
I mean, listen, I was pretty much dropped myself, like not fighting, but like we went to war. They called it a tie at the end of it. It was not a tie. I mean, like I'm man enough to say, like I'm pretty sure I lost.
Okay.
But like they probably just wanted to like lead it on, keep it going, like
make another one maybe. Yeah.
So, like he dropped me in the first round. I dropped him in the fourth round. But like I think he did enough to like get the better of me. But after that, my like pride was so fucking compromised that
because you lost in your mind.
In my mind.
Because you performed the way you wanted to.
But like, what do you expect? Like, you're fucking doing narcotics before going into an underground fight club.
Were you literally, you were getting high and then going in?
Absolutely.
Holy
what
shit.
What were you doing?
Absolutely. You can figure that out. It ain't good.
Right.
It ain't good. I wasn't just smoking. I wasn't just drinking. It wasn't good, man. I don't.
Think you would have won if you weren't in that exact state at the moment?
Probably not, because I had no discipline in my life, man. He was training in a gym. Like, I was just a scrappy kid that grew up fighting.
Were you watching fighting at the time? Were you?
No, I didn't have no
preparation.
I didn't have no TV to watch.
Wow.
So, for lack of a better way of saying it, you had, in fight wise, you had nothing going for you. Just being scrappy.
You know, and the reason why I bring that up is because, like, man, I've been on the beam now. Shit, October will be 9 years.
Okay, congratulations, bro. That's amazing.
And sober, and
I thought you meant like the ironwork, like on the beam.
I'm on that beam too.
Yeah.
But like I've gotten my shit together now for about 9 years, and listen, man, I'm not ashamed of who I was. It made me who I am today. I look at my life today, and I'm like, yo, it's a pretty cool life.
Hell yeah.
You know, but I had to go through all those trials and tribulations to get here.
What made you get straight and narrow?
I knew I was gonna die.
Wow.
100%.
Did something happen? Did you hit rock bottom?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with rock bottom. But you can hit rock bottom on a Tuesday, and then fucking on Wednesday you feel a little bit better and go push that limit again. I mean, it really just came down to like multiple near-death experiences.
Was it you, or did someone shake the life into you?
It was no, it was me. It was me. You know, like I said, after that last fight, I just went on that suicide mission, you know, and like,
really?
I just didn't care, man. You know, I didn't care. I didn't care if I died or not. I didn't care if I lived or not. All I knew is that I hated myself. I knew that if I offed myself on the spot, I'd probably be doing the world a favor. And I was probably going to end up like my father. And my father was one of the best men you can ever meet. He was a guy that was sober 21 years. Went back out and, you know, a bunch of, like you call it the perfect storm, a bad girlfriend, a divorce, ego come back into play, and all of a sudden it doesn't seem like a bad idea to throw away sober time. And then over the next 11 months, it fucking robbed him of his life, man. Now here my mother is. They were separated time, but here's my mother now raising 3 kids on her own.
Right.
Working 2 jobs, one to put food on the table, the other one for benefits. And it's me and my younger brother.
There's 3 or 2?
There's 3 of us. Joe was 10 at the time. I was 15 when Dad died. John was 13. But like me and John just ran the streets, bro. We had no adult influence to tell us, hey kid, you should maybe stick with football. You might be able to go somewhere with this. Hey, you should really focus on your A's. Like, we didn't have nobody to crack us in the back of the head. So we learned on our own. And I got burnt. I got burnt very bad. You know, so after that last fight down there, I was like 20 years old. I was on this suicide mission. I had almost lost my life multiple times at this point. And I'm just like, yo, I can't keep doing this. You know, and it was that consistent look of disappointment in everybody's face when they looked at me. That like shake of a head, you're not even worth words anymore type of feeling.
Right. Yeah, and how many people can you disappoint?
And like at that point, everything's been gone. There's no money, there's no job, there's no finances, no trust, there's no opportunities. I mean, people are trying to figure out what college they want to go to at that age, right? I'm trying to figure out what rehab's going to take insurance for me. And like, it just felt like the dead end road, and like the walls are closing in. And it's like, listen, if this is my route, then so be it. Get me the fuck out of this miserable existence. So that led me to a point over the next few months where, I don't know, I just woke up one day and I was just like, yo, I just can't do this no more.
You're ready.
I was done. And I had been at that point before, but something about this time was different. Like, I had worse consequences in my life. So like, to classify a rock bottom, like that's a kind of like a generic way of putting it. Like, I had hit a point where it's just like, yo, it's either now or never, and I can't keep doing this no more. And this has been going on for years at this point. I mean, I managed to fucking go down there and perform down in these fight clubs, and this was all fucked up.
Was that like the only thing you had going for you? That was like the
it was the only thing. All my eggs were in this one basket. You know what I mean? And I lived off of, like, my success was based off of like how I did down there,
right.
Which is like pretty sad to say because it's like an illegal fight club in Hunts Point. Like, maybe like going to pursue a 4-year education would have been a better idea, or like a trade.
Down there, like, were you like scared yourself when that kid had a seizure? Were you like, I could possibly have some kind of circumstances?
No, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck. I really didn't care.
Wow. So how did you like pick yourself up?
So I don't know. Like, I look back at it, and it's not like it's just 1 or 2 things. Like, it was like that feeling of like, like emptiness. It was that like spiritual bankruptcy. My body was absolutely fucking mangled. I was 150 pounds soaking wet.
Wow.
I was just a walking nightmare, you know, like
walking corpse.
Yeah, and I looked at my younger brother that last day, and I was like, "Yeah, my younger brother Joe. I mean, I helped raise that kid, and like, what do I say? I'm sorry again." And like, he just looked at me and shook his head, you know. And what type of example am I setting as my father's son, as John and Joe's older brother? You know, my poor mother found me, you know, lifeless multiple times, you know, saved my life on multiple occasions, you know, and it's just like, is this the life that I'm meant to live?
Yeah.
And I woke up that day and I was like, something's got to fucking change. That last day I woke up and I was just like, yo, I'm this is done. You know, I'm out of here. I went away again. I did 30 days in a rehab out in Jersey. And I kind of just moved my whole life out there temporarily. I stayed in a house out there for about 6 months, and that's kind of like where this career took off. I went down to Gleason's gym in Long Branch, New Jersey, and I wanted to do the Golden Gloves really bad. Now remember, I'm like, I don't know, maybe like 60 days, like back on top of my shit and like kind of getting a little bit of like life back in me.
Right.
It's funny, you know, 60 days, I feel like you take on the fucking world, right?
When you're on the verge of death, yeah.
So I go to Gleason's gym, man, and I told them I want to do the Golden Gloves, and they let me go in the bag for an hour, did an hour practice, and they said, no, you're not that good yet. You know, maybe next year, you know, keep working, but like, no, it's not happening for you. And I remember going home, like, to that house that I was living out in Jersey, and I just remember being like so fucking like
angry.
Yeah. Like,
defeated.
You see me trying to change, like looking up at God, like you see me trying to change my life here, like give me something, you know, like playing that victim role. But like classic like mentality of like, oh really? All right, we'll see about that. And Sammy Margie, who was my coach at Annals before I left.
He was a great guy.
Phenomenal guy. There was more Sam Margies in the world, to be a better place. But he called me up one day out of the blue and was like, hey, you want to take this kickboxing fight? It's in 2 weeks. And I was like, sure. I've been here before.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my first fight ever, like sanctioned. And that was in Bergen, Jersey. And I don't know, I went in there. I was so nervous, like, because now my feelings are back, right? I don't have anything to like numb them.
Yeah,
right.
You know.
And now it's real. And this is real.
Yeah.
This isn't some fucking Hunts Point shit.
Yeah, you've been training.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is my thing now.
Well,
you know what I mean?
training is actually, it hadn't even taken off yet. Like I was watching like Conor McGregor videos and TJ Dillashaw videos and like imitating their footwork. Like I was living out in Jersey. I didn't really have a gym to go to.
Yeah.
I would run my miles in shadow box with wrist weights and ankle weights. And that was my training. So when he said, you want to take this kickboxing fight? I was like, yeah, sure. So I went in there and it was a decision, but I put a beating on the kid and it was like kind of like that. Was it like that moment where you realize it's like, wow, what if I put 150% into this career? You know, what if I did that? What could come about this? And like 2 weeks after that fight, I moved back to New York. I was grounded here again. I took care of all my demons. I was ready to like take on life. And I started training really hard. And then that following year, I had my first MMA fight. A year after that, I won my first MMA amateur title. That same year, I defended it 3 times.
Wow.
2019, I had my first pro fight. COVID happened, put a little bit of a halt on things.
How many, what were you fighting, like 3 times a year or more?
I was fighting like 3 times a year, but I got into the Ironworkers in 2016, Local 40 Ironworkers, who's been an absolute mountain of a difference in my life. I mean, like, my life is where it is today because of Local 40, you know? So I got into that career in 2016. So I was doing both. I'd work, and then I would go train. And then for the first 3 years, you got apprenticeship school. So 2 nights out of the week, I'm there from, I think the hours were 5 or 6 to 8. You know, so that was like 9 hours throughout the week because sometimes you had Saturdays. Well, I was busy.
You full.
I was busy.
Yeah.
And then I would go train. So I'd go from, you know, working to apprenticeship school to train, and that was every day. And that was my life. And then I would fight on a Saturday and be right back to work on Monday. So like in my life, you started seeing like this discipline establish. And I feel like the difference this time around was that discipline was consistent.
Did you also at that point start to have people in your corner? Not actually, but like emotionally?
I found a lot of good friends that became family when I stopped fucking around. I have people in my life today that are fucking angels, man. Angels, like true, genuine friendships with people that actually care about me, whether I fought another 1,000 times or if I never fought again at all. I mean, people that look at my wife like their family. People that look at my mother, my brothers, like their family just because of my friendship with them. You know, and those are like some of the best things about my life today.
Probably grounds you a lot more too.
It is. It's not the fucking, you know, listen, you could get finances, you can get attention, you could get materialistic things. You know, if you don't have the true happiness as a life, your relationships, self-happiness, sense of purpose, you know, things like that, confidence that comes from discipline, not confidence that comes from fucking I'm better than you, that shit'll get you nowhere.
Yeah. The
but
ego.
Those are what makes someone like myself, I'll speak for myself, happy. You know, my family's taken care of. I have people that care about me that I also care about. That's not a give and take relationship. I have a sense of purpose today in life. I have a fucking undeniable work ethic that I take pride in. And what you try and do is take that experience and try and help out the next person that was going through what I was going through.
Right, now you can lift
and
someone
that's
else
that
up.
sense of purpose. And when that, I could see that I could take my faults in life and my bad experiences and use them as a tool to help someone else out that's going through something similar. It's like that light bulb went off. Like,
Could
wow.
you even imagine that back when you were going through it?
Never.
Do you see a lot of people reach out to you, like to people who kind of are?
Yeah, so you could call a spade a spade. You know, people that suffer from drug addiction, alcohol. Like I'm very active in the community with trying to be. I'm not going to say like a fucking, you know, like put an ego thing on it. Like that's the last thing. But like I'm present in that community, so I'm there when people need me. You know, I'm not some fucking, you know, guy going out looking to save the world like Mother Teresa. That's not me at all. But it's like you do these things with zero profit motive. You don't do it for attention. You don't do it for recognition or monetary or gain. You know, you do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You do it because it was done for me.
Yeah. You're trying to be that person that maybe you didn't have at the time.
Exactly.
You know, you see a lot of these guys too, and like no shade on anyone because obviously it's like, you know, if you can help someone that's like, but a lot of these guys you see and you're like, you know, you're where you are, you're in the hole and you're like, you might not even want to, you're not fully ready to clean up, and you see some guy and you're like, I don't want to be that fucking guy. Like this guy, like he's not who I want to be. And you know, you see someone like you, and you know, you dress nice, you know, you have a lot going on. It's like a sexier image than like, you know, some schlub. It's like it means a lot more to someone. You know what I mean? Like,
so that was the big thing too when I first got sober, was like, I really want to have one professional fight. That's all I wanted. I just wanted one pro fight because I wanted to have that accolade of a professional athlete. As a kid, 20 years old, I thought that was the coolest fucking thing in the world to say, oh, that kid is a professional athlete. So I had this, maybe you call it a dream or an inspiration. I was like, man, if I could go from this fucked up loser to a professional athlete, then maybe I could show people in this world that there's nothing you cannot do if you put your mind to it. And that was the fucking inspiration and the fuel that fired every workout session at 9:30 at night if it was after school, or if it was 4 o'clock in the morning before work to cut weight. That's the idea and the you know, like the dream that fueled every workout, that put the purpose behind why I was doing what I'm doing, to try and show others that if you put your mind to something, get sober. You know, not just people that are fucked up, but anybody, but more directed towards people that were fucked up. Like, hey, put that garbage down.
right.
You want to go back to school? You could do it. You want to get a trade job? You could do it. You want to start your own business? You could do it. You want to get your family back in your life? You want to get your kids back in your life? You want to mend your marriage? You could do it. Put this fucking garbage down. There's nothing in this world you cannot do. It always doesn't have to be a professional athlete. It could be anything. Any one of those things I just mentioned.
Yeah.
If you put down that fucking garbage, you can have the life that you always dreamed of.
Yeah.
And that's what I tried to like run with in the beginning. Like, and I used that as my fire, as my fuel. Like,
That still what fuels you?
Absolutely.
What's the vision now? What's the thing in your head that you're trying to claw your way to?
My vision now is, you know, like I said, I just wanted one pro fight. I mean, I never thought it would get this far, ever, you know, and I don't want to look back 10 years or 15, 20 years from now and say, what if? Because I'm like knocking on that fucking door to get to the next level. And my last fight was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was awesome, you know, and like,
I feel like every time you win, it's like spectacular. It's like a spectacular, like.
Well, it's violent. Call it, you know, it is what it is. It's violent.
It's not just violent. Like there's violent, and then there's like, you know,
masterclass,
acrobatic. It's like fucking dramatic. It's not just like this guy fell down and fucking, you know, done. It's like more than that. It's like it's highlight reel shit like every time, which is very cool to see.
So like 2 fights ago when I landed that spinning elbow, this fight, I just felt my shin bone cut in his fucking leg every time it connected. And then just to see somebody see their own blood and know that it's like, I got this motherfucker.
Does
right
that mean
now.
more to you, like, to fucking just drop someone than to like go to war and like put like a full length beat down on someone?
I mean, you're prepared. You plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. I mean, no matter which way it goes, I've been in both. I can hang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to die in there.
Do you
like
love
some people
the
say
violence?
that generically.
Yeah, right.
I fucking loved it. I love it. But that's just, I feel like that's most people in general.
Yeah.
2,000 years ago, they built a whole coliseum just to see violence.
Dude, my whole Instagram is flooded with car crashes, people flying off of shit.
World star.
Yeah.
World star. People love people seeing get
People fucking love
fucked
it.
up.
Yeah.
It's sad to say,
why.
but something about seeing pain and like, listen, you could take that in a negative manner. I'm trying to use it in a positive manner. I mean, I've been on both ends. I've gotten hurt and I've also hurt people. But it's like that war instinct.
But you could. The thing is, you could
like
still be at Hun's Point beating up losers, but you're doing something completely different.
Absolutely,
I think
even
that's
worse.
what's
I
important.
could be dead, Mike. You know,
Yeah.
and now it's on a bigger stage. Like I remember going to watch people fight at the Tropicana for the ROC when I was a kid. Like when I first got straightened out, like sobered out, and it's being like, wow, and like it's funny. Like you walk in there, and like everyone's bigger than you, and it's like, wow, I want to be like.
They're adults.
I fought for that fucking title.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight for that title again. And it's like, it's my face on that poster now. Like, it's crazy how this has evolved from what seemed like it was so far away to like what's, I don't know, 2 months ago and now 2 months away again. And it's like, who would have ever fucking thought this? And getting up on those cage after like knocking these people out and getting the win. And like looking at my family down there, looking at my wife, looking at my friends, looking at my community that always comes out to support me, all my sponsors, they believe in me. So I'm smacking them in the face if I don't fucking put 1,000% into everything I do leading up to this fight. So when I'm on top of that cage and this fucking kid is dead on the floor and everybody's cheering, it's like, this is what it's for. This is what this is all about. It's not about the fame or the glory. It's about hard work, triumphs, everything.
And showing something with that hard work. You worked hard and now you have a fucking belt.
Coming from nothing to on top of the cage.
Yeah, questioning if you're going to fucking be here tomorrow. Like.
Yes. This is what it's all about.
Do you ever think about the future, all you see now, you see these movies like the concussion movie and shit like that. You ever think about that when you're in there? Are you worried about what's going to happen in the future? Or right now you're focused on fucking now?
You got to plan for the future a little bit, but my head's not there right now. My head's not there right now to think about, all right, maybe I shouldn't be sparring 20 rounds in a week, but let's put it like this. What I did to myself is a fraction
what you're doing now.
Yeah, like a concussion down the line or like brain is like a fraction of what I did to myself in my late teens, early 20s. So like you're talking to someone that goes lives life on the edge.
Yeah, but it sounds like what you're saying is you'd rather 20 years from now look back and be like, I fucking was a savage and have a little bit of a headache sometimes than live a life.
I'd rather look back 20 years from now and say, I think I made a difference. Because it's not about, it's about me, it's my career, but it's like, it's more than just me. Like there's a power behind me of people. You know what I mean? And I made a difference when I look back 20 years from now. But I also don't want to half-ass that and say like, hey, I was so close, but I was content with it at the time, and I just went back to ironworking, you know? Like, I don't want that. My ironworking will always be there. I love ironworking. I love it more than anything. Why? Because it's dangerous. It's chaotic.
It's gritty.
It's a fucking dangerous business. I get off on that. I get off on fighting in the cage, like putting it on the line. I get off on that. You got to respect the iron, you know? But like the point that I'm getting to is that like I love the chaos of life, you know? So when I look back, you know, 20 years from now, I won't be like playing the safe side of like, I'm a little concussed, I'm a little brain damage, walking around with the fucking shakes. It would be more of like, yo, I did everything I could to get this life, you know?
This is a weird one. Like, I hate to, like, when I'm talking to you or like when we're talking to JT Torres, I hate to like bring anything that I've experienced like into your world because it's like a fraction, right? Like you guys are doing this at like so much longer on such a bigger scale. But when I was wrestling, like I went from the fattest, most unathletic loser to, I would just say at my best, like a good high school wrestler. But no matter who, like I was ranked first in the section, I could be against the biggest fucking scrub, right? When he walking up to the mat, shitting my fucking pants. Like this kid could be an overweight, you know, first year clown, and I would just be stressed. Do you get that, like, you know, like
pre-fighting anxiety?
Gonna pop like before you fight? Do you walk in there and I don't think anyone walks in there like cool. Like, but I mean, how do you feel like leading up to it? How do you feel walking in there? And when does it go away? Does it go away?
I'm always scared. But you can't be courageous without fear. And feelings aren't facts. Just because I'm afraid doesn't mean it's real.
Right.
And what I've tried to train myself to do is that I have these reference points, right? Where like, I've been there before. I've seen that this is what happens. And really what happens is this. You stress this fight for fucking 2 months or a month or a couple weeks or whatever it is. What's he gonna do? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna feel? How many people are gonna be there? Whatever. All bullshit. You're getting ready to walk out. They call your fucking name. And now I run to the cage. How are you gonna walk to war?
Yeah.
I run to the cage. Grease you up. Hug your coaches. I look my wife in the eye, like because I always know where she's at, and I fucking walk in that cage and I stare at this kid, and they lock that door. Jimmy, are you ready? Miles, are you ready? And as everything that I was thinking about leading up to that moment goes right out the fucking window. And when I look at it like that, anything up until that moment is just wasted energy. Now that doesn't mean the fear is going to go away. But it tells me that I can handle the fear. And as soon as that bell rings and everything goes out the window, it is just primal survival instincts.
Can you adjust?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the spinning elbow I hit that kid with, like you're talking about a reaction of milliseconds.
Yeah.
You're talking about milliseconds of
but
reaction.
Is it conscious or it's just, I'm just moving?
Well, how do you plan for that? How do you prepare for that? Like, think about it. Like, you're going to throw that in sparring? You can't.
Right.
You can't throw that in sparring. I mean, yeah, you can shadow it on the pads a little bit, but here you are, and you got two men about to collide.
Yeah.
Like a collision.
Well, that's just
head
a
on.
fucking animal. Like that's just
like how do you time that?
Yeah.
When people ask, how'd you throw it? Like how do you time it? It's instinct. I can't tell you how I did it. I could tell you how I felt. You know what I mean? It's a feeling to just let it fly. And like we were talking about like doing techniques before the show started, and it's like I don't do well with technique, I do well with live. I could tell you why I did this.
Right.
Because it feels like the right way to go, but I can't tell you the technique behind it. So like when you start deflecting, spinning back fists fly and you're knocking fucking mouthpieces out from across the cage, like how do you throw that? You just do it.
Yeah, I mean listen, if you're an inch further, an inch shorter, it's not, you're getting a quarter of that impact. So if you're not doing that and you're not just, a dirty motherfucker out there who's been doing it, for 2 months full force like a fucking animal, it's not happening.
No. A lot of it's instincts in there, and thank God, like I think about my father, like I didn't just fucking develop these, like I like to think that I got some good war instincts that I was born with, and I will say this, that's probably, it's not a regret because it's not something that I did that I wish I didn't do, but it's something more that I missed out on. And like your father could attest to this, all of my, Brian McLaughlin could attest to this. Like, I wish I got to see my father's reactions in the stands when I'm fighting. And like drugs and alcohol robbed us of that, and he would be in his fucking element in that cage, and he would just take care of everything. He would make my life easy. He was one of those guys that just always knew what to do, what to say. Jim, don't worry about finding sponsors. I got them for you. Give me every ticket. They'll all be gone. And he would go to the firehouse. He would go on Bronx River Road and probably strong arm people into buying tickets that wouldn't even show up.
Well, he had what you had.
He had
that charisma.
He had that charisma, and he could get a stranger to support us because that stranger would say, I don't know who this guy is, but he would put his life on the line for me.
Yeah.
And he would. My father would.
Just the reassurance I'm sure you would have got.
But I really wish I was able to see his reaction in the stands, like, yo, that's my kid out there. Because ever since I could remember, like, going toe-to-toe was something that he always thrived in. Like that competitiveness, that courage, that you know what I mean? He was just a brute force of a man.
Right.
And like to see him in those stands would have been like, I don't know. It's something that I really wished I didn't have to like not experience,
right.
Yeah.
But everything has happened for a reason. Like I hate drugs and alcohol because it robbed me of that. I hate drugs and alcohol because it almost robbed me of my life. But I'm grateful for drugs and alcohol because it gave me this life today. The pain, the scars that it gave me.
You wouldn't be where you are.
I'm able to experience this life today.
One thing that I just kind of want to tie back, because I think it's so huge for anybody who's listening, and it's something that again, like Joseph said, we can't compare our lives because you've obviously lived a storied life, but we all have our own internal struggles. And something that I heard once and I try to live by it is if you can't beat the fear, just do it scared. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so huge for people to understand because it doesn't have to be something as big as getting into a cage. It could be anything. Like you said, starting a business, starting a family, getting that new job. You're going to be fucking terrified. And if you're not, honestly, it's probably not worth it, but you're never going to be able to get rid of all that anxiety and all that fear. So just say fuck it and do it scared.
I think of something that really ties into that, and it's the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. And anything that gets me out of my comfort zone gives me those feelings that you just said.
Right.
Whether it's fighting, buying a house, starting a new relationship, going back to school, starting a trade, career change, debts in the family, debts in the friendship, with one of your friends. Like anything that gets me out of my comfort zone causes that internal fear. But when you stay in that comfort zone, how do you expect to grow as an individual? You can't. Exactly. So the only way to grow as an individual is to get out of that comfort zone.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
And it's not always about getting into a fight or performing at the Tropicana. It could be any one of those things we just mentioned. If you want to grow as an individual, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And another thing that I'm sure really, props you up is like when you were going through everything that you went through, like you said, you were very alone and you were going down to those fights, you were very alone. So to know that I can do this alone, like I know I can be my own person, I don't need anyone else. And then the other thing is just to see whether it be what you've done as an iron worker, what you've done in fighting or, investments, I know houses, stuff like that. It's if I want to do it, I've proved to myself I can do it. I went from absolutely nothing to look at this mountain that, you've never finished climbing it, but look at the view. And I can do that. I can do anything if I really try, which is the cheesiest sounding thing.
No, it's not.
You know what I mean? Once you do it, you're wow, I can do anything.
And that was the whole goal in the beginning. If you put your mind to something, put down the bullshit and focus on your goals, there's nothing in this world you cannot do.
But you hit that way past that park. You just
yeah.
So if that's the case, which I agree with, it would be an insult to myself and all the work that I put in if I don't push this to the absolute ceiling. And that's where I'm at in this career right now.
So what's next? I mean, do you have your sights set on like one of the major organizations? Like, is that in your future? Is that what you're pushing towards?
I mean, I'm definitely shooting for the stars with this. Ultimately, I'd love to make it to the UFC. I mean, that is the NFL of fighting. Am I close? I think I am. But I can't just sit around and wait for a phone call. So until that phone call comes, which I know it's inevitable, I'm going to get ready to fight again in June. And, where it's going to go after that, I don't know. But all I do know is that I put 1,000% into everything I do. And as long as I keep doing that, I have not been steered in the wrong direction, and success will not be denied.
How much of getting there is, in the cage and in the gym, and how much of it is like weird stuff outside of that?
Politics or knowing people?
It's actually a good question. Listen, this isn't
There's no clear...
No. And like, honestly, I'm in this almost 10 years. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. All I know is that it's an entertainment business. When you see spinning back fists crack people and knock them out, when you see spinning elbows crack people and drop them, when you see knockouts, when you see violence, people are entertained. As long as you keep...
is a big factor, like, or like your Instagram, or like, is that stuff relevant?
It can be, but I think that's bullshit. So that's my opinion. I think it definitely can be. I think they want to see a following, but like, the violence is undeniable.
Yeah.
Watch my highlight tape. You'll see violence.
Yeah.
I take pride in that because I work so goddamn hard. Right. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say I'm some fucking serial killer. But like, it's a fight sport. They're trying to do that to me, and
And like I said, everything's spectacular. Everything's dramatic. It's not just I knocked this guy out with a straight right and now he's on the floor. It's I fucking spun around and cracked this guy with the back of my fucking fist, and he's on the fucking floor. And like I didn't even see it happen. Like,
this is how I like to think about it. If I can sell out every ticket that they give me at the Tropicana, how many tickets do you think I could sell if it was at Madison Square Garden in New York?
Right.
I mean, I can have 400 people drive 3 hours and stay overnight in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
I can have thousands come to Madison Square Garden. So you take that following with absolute violence,
Undeniable.
that call is undeniable. It's inevitable. It's bound to happen.
How? Feel like you're knocking on the door?
How? When? I don't know. But I'm knocking, and I know someone's on the other side of it. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
that's not hearsay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just not me thinking positive. Like, trust me when I say it's going to happen. But let me tell you something. Anytime I've planned or prepared for something in my life, it does not happen on my time. In my opinion, it happens in God's time. When I want things now, I got tunnel vision. Mm-hmm. I don't see the bigger picture. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people could identify with that. Like, why can't I have this now? Why can't the interest rates go down now?
Yeah.
Why can't I crypto
go
up now? Like, why can't I have things now? And when I think of life like that, I have tunnel vision. I only see what's right in front of me. I only see what my two eyes see. But then 6 months down the line, what I was begging for 6 months ago actually comes to fruition, and it's like, wow.
I get like that too.
Thank God this happened now.
I get like that too a lot, where it's like I need things to happen right now. How do you combat that? How do you combat that impulsivity that you have?
How do you stay on track? Like,
so I think about like these reference points in my life. Like I wanted to be a Yonkers fireman more than anything. I wanted to be a fireman like my father. I studied for the fucking test. I did everything I absolutely could to prepare for this Yonkers fireman. I take the test. I absolutely botch it. I did not even get called for the physical, and now here I am chucking my arms up. What the fuck? But then someone tells me, hey, go take that iron worker test. I didn't even know what an iron worker was. But I was just getting my life back together, and it was a big suggestion. Go take whatever, test that they're offering for unions. And I went, and I took the test, and I didn't give a fuck about it. Wow, whoop-de-doo, I ended up passing. I think it was like I passed because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, you didn't have that stress.
So I was like, fuck, man. I remember telling my mom, like, I don't want to be an iron worker. But like, I didn't even know what an iron worker
you know
was.
You're getting into, yeah.
But like, boom, 6 months down the line, I fucking love iron working. I never forget the first time I got up to a derrick floor, which is the top of the building, and I see people walking the iron. And I was like a fucking kid, just like, and I was like, how do I get up there? And like, I was just mesmerized with the career.
Are you up there now?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But like, you know, thank God I didn't become a Yonkers fireman, right? But like at the time, that's all I wanted, you know?
Was that a lot of an influence from your dad?
It was, you know, but also that common, work 2 days a week, live your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like who doesn't want to do 2 days on, 4 days off, you know? And I didn't get what I wanted, but thank God I didn't get what I wanted.
You love going to work now.
I love going to work now.
Does the physicality of your work aid you in any way with what your career, your fight career?
I think the discipline of showing up every day and putting 100% into your work, whether it's ironworking or Con Ed or J&B Bodyworks, just reflects who you are as character.
But does it is it a workout? Is it?
Fuck yeah, it's a workout.
Yeah.
I climb columns. I sweat in the summer. I freeze in the winter.
So even with what you're doing, you're like, this is fucking hard
My
shit.
belt alone probably weighs 40 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. A 10-pound beater, a 36-inch connecting bar is like 7 pounds, 3 wrenches, a bullpen, and a bolt bag full of bolts, plus 7-pound harness, 6-pound harness, easily 40 pounds. Now go climb 2 stories of columns, you know?
Yeah.
That's my workout. Connect the steel, cut it loose, do it again. Do that all day. Shake out iron, wrap up trucks, send them up to the floor. I mean, everything about this business is hard work. If you're not cut out for this business, you will be exposed, and you'll find out pretty early enough that this business is not for you. But like the way I look at it is when I showed up to work, it was like trying out for first string football.
Yeah.
Like every day is like, let's go.
Every day is Super Bowl.
Every day is tryouts. You know?
Is it hard to take that beating at work and then walk into the gym? Or are you ever like, what the fuck? I got to go to the fucking gym. I got to push myself here. Like,
yeah, but that's where the success of like this story comes in, because it's like embrace the struggle.
Yeah.
Fuck no, it's not easy. I mean, I've been doing it for 7.5 years professionally at this point now. I've had like 14, 15 fight camps while iron working.
that's fucking insane.
I mean, I look back at it.
That's way more dangerous than fighting.
I look back at it now and I'm like, wow, that's pretty mentally disturbed, you know? But like, of course it's not fucking easy. But anything worth doing in life is not going to come easy. And when I think about it, it's like, all right, yeah, maybe I'm not training full times like these guys, but I go into that fight with that mental edge, like, you're not working harder for this than me. Like, you got to fucking take this out of my hands to get it, you know? And I don't know, I think about my family, I think about my past, I think about my support network, and it's like, yeah, so what? I'm a little fucking tired or dirty at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I still got 4 hours left, but like, that's how I lived my life for 7.5 years. I'm out from, you know, I just finished work. Now it's like, all right, now my day's just getting started. Now I got to go spar, I got to go wrestle, I got to go do conditioning. And most of those days I train twice. If I get out at 3, I'm training twice. I'm doing conditioning right after work, and then I'm sparring at night, or vice versa. Because I want to be an absolute human fucking weapon going into this fight.
Yeah.
And when you see your poster with your face on it,
and all
another
friends,
guy's
and all
face
your
on
family.
it, and everyone's coming to watch you fight this guy, he don't give a fuck that you just worked 8 hours. He don't care. He's going to try and put you in the dirt in front of your closest friends and family. So shame on me if I let 8 hours of work influence if I go to my training session or not.
Yeah.
Because this sport, from the bottom of it, is straight do or die. It is fight or flight. And you can't fake this sport. You don't have 4 other guys on the court or 10 other guys on the field.
Right, and have an off back a little bit.
To
You could have
bail
a bad
you
day.
out.
Yeah.
If you take shortcuts in this sport, you are going to find out the hard way. And you're going to find out with cuts, concussions, broken bones, lacerations in front of all your friends and family.
How do you deal with recovery? Do you do any of these new techniques like ice baths or saunas?
I don't do them as much as I should. I definitely believe in a lot of them.
You do?
I really believe in the ice baths. I think those are phenomenal for you.
With what, like cutting out inflammation?
I mean,
or?
cutting down inflammation, but like, let alone, like, if you just want to burn 400, 300 calories, go sit in an ice bath. Oh, yeah, because your body's freezing. You're burning calories.
So you're
keep
working to keep warm.
But like, for like my legs, you're just repeatedly kicking all day, okay? You callus up your shins. Your fucking bones start bruising from the inside out. You go, you know, I can't be taking ibuprofen 20 times a day.
No, it doesn't work.
Okay? Those ice baths, I think are a pure miracle. And there's actually a great spot right down the block from here, Fulcher Sports Club. Mm-hmm. They got ice baths, jacuzzis, saunas, physical therapy room.
What's it called?
Fulcher Sports Recovery.
Fulcher
right by
Sports
Fleetwood train station.
Okay.
I mean, you got everything you need in there. You know, and for fighters, football players, wrestlers.
Are you stretching a lot?
No.
I feel like that. I feel like nothing does as much as stretching. Like whenever I do anything, if I like, which I never fucking do, if I really stretch, I'm like, oh shit, like this shit works.
You know what it is? It's like, all right, I got 3 hours to train. I got 4 hours to train twice. If I could get an hour and a half in here, eat something quickly, and then an hour and a half for my last session, like I'll be good. I can't waste, like my head tells me, like I can't waste 20 minutes fucking stretching.
Do you recover at all? Like if you're in a training camp where you're like, all right, I need this fucking day?
Sometimes, yeah. But
okay.
It's usually going to be 12 days in.
That was a
like
JT Torres thing. He said like when he started like, who's that guy that he trains out with? He's like the head of Atos, Galvao. He said Andre Galvao would tell him like, yo, you need to chill the fuck
you have
out.
to have
you
people
have to take a
telling
day.
me, yo, you need a rest day.
Yeah.
But I'll train maybe like 13 sessions, 12 sessions in a row before I've hit that like point.
Well, he was saying he was just feeling like a pussy.
Two.
And I'm sure you're like, I can't start slacking. Like,
yeah, because as soon as I take a rest day, I'm like, I don't want this bad enough.
Okay.
That's what my head tells me.
Somebody's
like,
out there working.
Yeah, I don't want this bad enough. You know, you're being a fucking pussy. Get back in. You know, you're taking shortcuts. I mean, like I call it the gift and the curse. It's like
it is.
It's like you never have to worry about underworking, and like that's the gift. Like I'll always provide, work as hard as I can, and I'll never take shortcuts. But the curse part is that no matter how much I do, it's never enough.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a catch-22.
Yeah. How do you want people to find you? Like, do you want them to see you fighting? Do you want them to see you as an iron worker? Like, what do you want? What's like?
Who are you?
Yeah. What do you see yourself as?
I see myself as, shit, I still see myself as a kid, 29 years old. I never really thought about that question, but I just think of like my experiences and like how I want someone to find me. I don't give a fuck if you find me or not. I think if God wants you to find me, you're probably fucked up like I was, and you will find me. As far as that extra shit goes, posts and reposts and stories and look at this kid, like I could give two hells about, I could give two shits about that. Who am I? I'm a kid that had absolutely nothing going for him. I was on the brink of death, and now I get to live this sick fucking life because I never gave up on myself.
Yeah.
And if you can identify with that, great, let's go get a cup of coffee. I hope we meet, you know what I mean? But until I'm dead, I will put 1,000% into everything I do, because it's not just about me. It's about my family, my support network, my friends that believe in me, my sponsors, and try and help a few people along the way.
Yeah. Jimmy, what do you, and I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable, but what do you weigh?
I weigh about 195 pounds if I'm a fat slob doing nothing.
Okay. Are you a fat slob doing nothing right now?
I'm just a slob.
Okay. All right.
I'm about 188 pounds right now.
And you fight at 175?
170.
Okay. So that's a pretty big cut.
It's actually not that big a cut in UFC. I mean, here's another thing. Like, do I have that camp that's like walking me through the professional weight cuts? Like, no. You got guys that lose 20 pounds in a fucking day. I usually do like 11 pounds in like 4 hours.
Jesus.
So I diet down to 180, 181, and I gotta get down to 170 plus a pound, so 171. I could do that with Albaline and a hot bath in 3 hours. Now, here again, doing it by yourself. You don't got the team or coach behind you because like it's the day before weigh-ins. And
do you have fat to lose? Like if you're like getting ready or like the beginning of camp,
I did the body mass index. 155 is most likely out of the question. At 177 pounds, I got 0% body fat. So that's still a 21-pound water cut.
Yeah.
I don't know how much water you can lose in a day without falling the fuck over. but 21 pounds seems like it's pretty close to
Right
it.
there.
What when you're at that point and you're like, you know, sucked out, like do you just feel everything so much more? Like you can't even like you were saying, like
Can't
your
talk.
leg kicks, like are you like
No, you should be doing absolutely nothing that day of cutting weight besides laying in the bed after you cut the weight. There should be no activity because you are severely dehydrated. I mean, mentally, I'm just a fucking asshole. My cousin like carried me out of the bath because I couldn't even stand. I lost the 11 pounds in 3 hours. I'm now 170.6 pounds, and I'm looking at him and I say, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. This is ridiculous.
it's easily the worst part.
I'm telling you right now, the weigh-ins are on a Thursday, so that's Thursday. The fight's on a Friday. I looked at him, I said, Scott, on Saturday, I fucking quit. I'm never doing this sport again because I'm like, look at me. I look like I have cancer. You know what I mean? Like my eyes are sucked in. I can't even stand. Like, who does this to
Do you
themselves?
feel like you're 100% when you fight?
Yes, but I think it was like trials of it because you're so depleted. You haven't eaten carbohydrates. You're so thirsty. So like you weigh in, you think the job's done, right? It's like you just gorge. And I've gone into fights feeling like shit.
Wow.
So what I found out is I don't like to eat red meat the night before. So I started cutting that out, and I've been feeling great. I walk into the cage 188 pounds.
Honestly, I think we need to have you back because we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. But unfortunately, it's wrap time. So do you want
I was
to?
wondering when we were going to say that. 'cause
Yeah,
I'm
should we
like,
ask
we've
him-
been here for like an hour. And a
Yeah,
half.
I would think. Should we ask him the car questions? And do you want to do Mario Kart?
I think we're good right at this.
You want to play Mario Kart? All right, everyone does a lap in Mario Kart, and we like judge
not gonna
you
make him
against
do it.
everyone else. If you want to see if you can beat JT
right.
Torres,
I'll do the Mario Kart.
all right.
So this has been another amazing episode of the J&B Body Talks podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. I want to give you a chance to promote yourself. Where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, Jimmy_Drago 02, and I don't even think I have anything else. Facebook, yeah,
That's great.
Facebook Jimmy Drago, pretty self-evident, and just want to say thanks for having me on here. It's
Yeah,
been,
yeah,
it's
we'd
been a
love to have
great
you back,
talk,
man.
and a big shout out to all my sponsors that help me every fight camp, and they make sure that I'm taken care of and I don't fall behind in life, and just thank you for believing in me, man.
You want to shout out some of those people quick?
Everyone that never gave up on me, man. There's too many of them, honestly,
Okay,
Joe.
good.
Joe, there's too many of them, and I'm very grateful.
Make sure you
and
loop
fortunate
us
to
in
say
'cause we
that.
want to be on
They
that
all know who
list.
they are. They all know who they are.
Yeah, let us know when it's time. We want to be on the list. So,
Appreciate it. Thank you guys very much
Thank you for
having
coming,
me.
Thank
man.
you.
Appreciate it.
all right, we'll set you up for
Awesome.
Mario Kart.
Don't hit A to start.
At 2 now. All right. So what is your what's your post-fight meal? What do you have right after you're done?
Usually I'm at the Tropicana, so I always get Carmine's.
Really?
Yeah, family style. I'm deprived.
What's your diet like when you're training?
I can cut nasty weight if I just ate Starbucks alone.
So you said something about cutting weight when you did, you said sauna and something else.
Albaline, makeup remover, opens up your pores, sweat like an animal.
No way.
Yep.
Wow. And are you in the sauna a lot as well?
Yes.
Favorite car?
I love the Bentley.
Yes. Love that too.
Truck, convertible, coupe.
I just like the sedan, old school Bentley. I love the video you guys put on it, the $100,000 Bentley.
Yeah.
What's a whole football field in a second?
What's your favorite movie ever?
I got 3. 300, Southpaw, and The Dark Knight Returns with Heath Ledger as the Joker.
So fucking good. I think it's one of the best movies ever made.
Favorite actor?
Favorite actor? I like Heath Ledger, except Brokeback Mountain.
Favorite rapper?
Always got to go with Eminem, and shout out Yonkers Jadakiss.
What's your walkout song?
DMX, Rough Rider Anthem is usually the go-to.
Favorite fighter?
Love Justin Gaethje.
Okay.
If you could spar against any of these guys, if you could fight against any of the professionals, who would you want to take on?
I would love to spar against George St. Pierre.
This is a straight from Fight Club, but if you could fight any celebrity dead or alive, who would it be?
Conor McGregor.
Ah, that's a really good one. Did you see the new Roadhouse movie?
I did.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. It's kind of cringy.
Did you? Yeah, it's a little cringy. Did you think he was mostly hype, or did you think he was actually a really good fighter?
I think he was a very good featherweight. I think as he went up in weight, he gassed out a lot.
Well done. Let's see how you did. 39 seconds is very impressive. You're on the top percentage of people who can do this.
Might be top 3, right?
Yeah, it might be top 3.
I hit that little block.
Well done, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.